All right, and it looks like we're back. Hopefully you had some good conversations. If you would like to take a moment, one big idea or key idea or aha or light bulb or whatever you want to call it, would you toss it in the chat? Something you took away from that conversation.
It was really nice to have a teacher in the group that had taught this last year that offered some of her insight and some of the changes. And basically the bottom line was we have to connect with students. And then she said something that I found, I jotted down in my side notes, have an opportunity with parents and guide the parents through the how to maneuver through the curriculum and how to access things. Because if the kids don't know and they ask the parents and the parents don't know, having that knowledge given to the parents, it was like a wow moment for me.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Hard to connect with. A lot of what I'm seeing is about making connections and connecting with students and how that can be hard with high school students. When Jen talked to you this morning about the Bitmoji piece at the end of her session, and she says she feels kind of goofy about that with high school. One of my favorite memories from, way back when I was teaching was Freddie Baker, not that it carved in my head, but this is a long time ago, who skipping up an aisle because he got a sticker on a quiz. And he was a senior in high school. That we do need to remember they're still kids, that they have very sophisticated and adult concerns and issues they have to deal with, but in their hearts, many of them are still very, very young. And don't be afraid to let the goofy happen once in a while. To give them the, we're all gonna wear a hat today, or it's flannel shirt day, or just different things to give the kids something that has nothing to do necessarily with the mathematics, but that can allow them to have conversations and, invite them all to make Bitmoji pictures to put on their screens, whatever, to find those things, okay? Don't get lost in the idea that they're 17 years old. Remember that many of them are 17 going on 10. And so that there are pieces that if you try them, I felt goofy doing them a lot of the time, but the connections are awesome. So that's a big piece. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the other items that I said that we really need to be thinking about. And some of these we've already spent some time on. Lost my mouse again. There it is. Okay. So ongoing formative assessment that Serena talked to you about, that we need to be doing that. And we have seen some questions about what about summative assessment? I say sort of summative assessment is sort of how I think about it. By definition, summative assessment, you take it and then you sort of do nothing with it. It's more about evaluating a program and so forth. We think of summative assessment as being like a unit test or some kind of a final thing at some point. But if you are still doing something with it, it has a formative component to it. So I would say at the end of a topic, yes, you're going to have some kind of an end of unit thing that you're going to do to assess student learning. But I would encourage you to still make sure you're using it in a somewhat formative manner. That is to let it, to inform your instruction going forward. Now, that being said, we haven't had a chance to dive in on the assessments that do exist for this course for those of you that are new. And for those of you that are returners, know that we have made some changes to modules and topics, and therefore we've also made some changes to the assessments that go with them. At the end of this training, you will have access to the assessment materials that go with this course. Modeling Our World with Mathematics is openly licensed, and anybody can take any piece or part of it within its licensure to use, but we do keep a little closer handle on the assessment materials because we don't want students to have access to them in a way that would make them invalid for you to assess their learning. So they are multi-part tasks, similar to, and they were developed largely around the idea of the old COE tasks, the idea where you take a big idea. And of course, in this course, that makes sense that you have a topic that you're talking about, and then you let students show you what they've learned in mathematics according to that topic. So when you're doing a finance module, the end of topic assessment is going to be a multi-part question that has to do with the finance that you were talking about in that topic. So it's not just about skills, but also about the applications that are key for this course. So we want to strategize our asynchronous work. In order to prioritize our live time, we have to make sure we're accomplishing as much as we can asynchronously when students are working independently. And these things all pull together. So, where shall I start? Student choice, I've talked a little bit about that. Exploring resources. One of the really neat options for working asynchronously is that you can give students 3 or 4 different things, and then they get to select from them. If they want to find out more about a topic, you could find a video for them, you could find an article for them, you could invite them to do research on their own and share their learning with you. You can use multiple different choices for them to select how they want to respond to you, but also you could give them more than you expect them to do and be pleasantly surprised when some of them will dive in. So you might give them 4 or 5 options when you really say you have to pick one, but then some students will say, well, that was pretty cool, maybe I'll do 2 or 3 as well. Strategize your asynchronous work as preparation for the live sessions. What can you do to get students ready so that they can collaborate, problem solve, talk about mathematics together? And then after they've done that, how can they follow up on their own? How can they go practice or reflect on or work with what they did together? And then of course, asynchronous videos are a great option. You can find videos out there. We have video hooks for some of our lessons, things that students can watch on their own. And it's great that they can go back and watch it 4, 7, 9 times, or they can see when they pull it up, what other suggestions come up for them for viewing. We have some OK Go videos that we use in the arts modules. And if you watch one of those, it suggests 6 or 7 others that you could. And I found myself going down the rabbit hole. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, why am I still watching these videos? I need to go to bed. So kids will do that when you have that. And then also we've talked about creating your own videos. And the power of that, it can't be overstated. Whether you're greeting your students or just telling them, hey, this is what we're going to be doing in the next week or 2, and giving them an introduction or some kind of directions as far as that goes, or giving them that direct instruction so that you don't have to stand and deliver when you do have live time with them. If you're not sure how to do that, watch somebody else do the direct instruction. Click on a Khan Academy, watch a Khan Academy video, and then say, okay, now how do I want to do that for my kids that it connects me with my kids better? The Khan Academy videos, they get the mathematics right, but they're not the most exciting a lot of the time. They get the job done, but maybe you can do the job better, and let them be your coaches for how you can create videos. The other piece of guidance on that, don't feel like you have to do a 30-minute lecture. In fact, don't. 3 to 5 minutes is what kids are used to watching. So although you're stuck with us for an hour, and it's funny because when Jen and I did the pre-work videos for you all for this, the course for the new teachers, we both kind of went, they're longer than they should be, but we had to get the information out to you. But 3 to 5 minute chunks, give them 3 to 5 minutes, then send them off to do something. Try this, practice this, finish this problem that I didn't finish. Then invite them back to 3 to 5 minute chunks again. And so think about developing your videos that way. Jen talked about a few good tools. Your district hopefully has some kind of guidance for you, whether it's Core 4 or they call it something else. And I may have missed it, but I'm not sure that we've stressed it enough in these days. It is kind to kids to not try and give them too many tools. I mean, it's kind to you to not have to try and master too many tools at a time. Decide, what is Desmos really good for, right? And then what is your Flipgrid, Screencastify, that's the one I couldn't think of. There's another one that's like that. What are these things good for? And decide on your one, okay? And then make sure that there's some consistency for your kids who have perhaps 6 different teachers. Also, this is good for relationships with parents as well. Imagine the parent who has a 4th grader, a 7th grader, and a sophomore in high school. And if they're all using different tools, that is a parent's worst nightmare. As if the virtual models that we're dealing with right now aren't scary enough for parents. If you throw too much technology at them in too many different ways, it's a tough thing. So a few good tools is a really good avenue to use. And then tech support. We all want tech support. We need it for what we're doing right now. We're learning new tools and things, but so are kids. You know, a student, yeah, they have their phone and they know how to navigate TikTok and Instagram maybe, and they can watch YouTube videos, but they're going to need some support to use their technology for learning. And so a couple of ideas on that. Think about the implementation strategies that we recommended in getting started for our mathematically productive instructional routines. We started with something that was either gentle mathematics or maybe even not mathematical. Give them the opportunity to explore some of these tools in a way that doesn't involve brand new mathematics to them. So for example, if you want them to explore a Desmos graphing activity, before they do that, let them play around with it a little bit. Let them just explore and have some fun with it before they're trying to learn the tech and the math at the same time. Consider video resources. You know, we talked about, like, for example, if you're trying to create Desmos activities, there are tons of videos out there. There are also videos out there that students can use so that they can understand the tech that's being put in front of them. And then never forget about the power of collaboration among kids. Let them help each other with the tech. They speak their own speech, right? And so you might tell them 4 times how to do something, but one of their peers can tell them in just a moment in ways that work for them to connect. So making sure your students are supported in the technology, learning the math. We think productive struggle is a good thing. Tech struggle can be frustrating. So let's make sure that we give them support for that. Okay, so that's the second set of pieces that I believe that you should be considering. Thinking about your ongoing formative assessment, strategizing your asynchronous work, making sure that you're using it to its best purpose. What are a few good tools that you really can use to help you? And then what does tech support look like for you?